This abandoned prison castle was built in 1865 and was used to house all types of scary people. It was a transitory prison before sending prisoners to hard labor or exile. Now it apparently houses actual ghosts. Published by Toppy in November of 2021, these paranormal investigators went to visit the dark and mysterious place. Here is what they found. Outside, they walk around the wall where lives were ended. Then they head inside. The investigator notes that they say they've heard some coughing. Inside the cells, they listen but hear nothing. They come across strange windows, perhaps built for ventilation, lockable slots, likely to deliver food to the inmates, and a shower room. In one hallway, they find this figure, posed like a statue. We aren't sure what its story is, but it towers over the place like it's floating. At one point, a strange, unexplained noise is recorded as they're talking, and another sound is heard, like blowing on metal. They also hear a door bang at a distance. They say they feel like they're not alone here. Perhaps they aren't, but is their company alive or paranormal? Think you have creepy neighbors? Think again. Posted to the WTF subreddit, Protomancer writes, "Just someone slithering through my neighbor's yard in the middle of the night." That description about sums this clip up, but let's take a look at the Nest camera footage. A stranger is seen lying on its stomach on the ground outside this person's home. After a moment, he starts moving in what is well described as a slither. He could actually be crawling, with the camera distorting the movements into something even creepier. Not that army crawling across your neighbor's yard is normal at all. Well, some Redditors think the dude is just playing night crawlers. Others think the guy is on something. One Redditor, however, shares another possible theory from first-hand experience. Chordophonic writes, "Quite a few years ago I had something similar happen. Though I was several lawns away, the dude finally stopped on my lawn and we called 911 because he'd been caught with some other dude's wife, and it turns out her husband put a round in this guy." I kind of hope it's one of the first two scenarios here. Catholics honor the departed on November 2nd with All Souls Day, praying for the souls of their departed family and friends, often with visits to the graveyard. But what happens when the soul hasn't crossed over? Published by Own Vlogs, these paranormal investigators visited a haunted graveyard in order to answer that question. As the crew wanders around the cemetery's open graves, they suddenly see this vague pale figure in the distance. After glancing over several times at the figure, the men get too scared by its stillness and start running off.
कुछ चीज है तो वो हावी होने की कोशिश कर रही है। और ये क्या? खड़े हो जाओ, निकलो यहाँ से स्पीड से थोड़ा सा। ये क्या है?
Gathering some courage, they turn and look back. The figure is still there. They run off again and straight out of the cemetery. Was this a soul that hadn't yet crossed over? Or just a graveyard statue? In any event, this is one scary video that went horribly wrong.
रास्ते में खड़ी है। जो भी है रास्ते में है। अरे भाई इधर से निकल। भाई
Do you have the cojones to dance with the devil? Published by Devil's Hours Production in May of 2021, this scary video sees one paranormal investigator playing around with Beelzebub. Originally filmed in March of 2013, the crew gets a spike on the millimeter after one of them asks the spirits to make their presence known.
Can you make your presence known?
Just so you know, Matt, we're getting a 0.1 spike on the millimeter right now.
As they continue onward, the meter rises and rises and rises some more. When they specifically ask the spirit to raise the meter, it does.
0.1, 1.2, 1.3.
Is that you? Speak into this device right here. I heard another one. Is that you? Speak into this device right here. I heard another voice. Oh, that could have been car. Hold on.
They continue walking when they suddenly hear a girl giggling. The girl remains with them, and she makes her presence known.
It's caught on here.
7.6.
I just heard a little girl.
0.6.
You go up to that antenna right now, and you touch it. It will go off, and that's how we can know that it's you.
The pair capture the creepy image on camera. It looks very much like a small girl, and later they hear a demonic hissing noise. Is this the soul of a little girl? Or is it the devil pretending? Inside a creepy cupboard full of antique dolls and antiquated photographs lies a poltergeist. Don't let him out. Published by The Haunted One. The uploader shows us that the cupboard sticks and is difficult to open. The cupboard houses a skull, some baby shoes, an eyeless porcelain doll, and a number of black and white photographs. Footage of the room in the darkness shows the cabinet bursting open on its own. Or did one of these haunted dolls try to get out? They're obviously here to possess you.
It's pretty strong because it's not that easy to open. And what's in here are some old photos that I've acquired.
Filmed near Shady Lake at Arkansas's Washita National Forest. This family was camping in a secluded campground when they encountered a creature that some think is a myth. Published by Jim Harrison in September of 2012. The camera is panning across the darkness when a large hairy figure moves into view not far off. Needless to say, the cameraman turns tail to flee, and I'm guessing he made it out alive with this wicked footage to show for it. While you may not be a believer, many in the comments of this video are. A number of them even share their own encounters with Sasquatch. This creepy area is reputed to be haunted by a young man whose life was ended by a passing train nearby. Are we about to see his apparition? Posted by Ghost Videos, this scary video was captured outside of the village of Stanstead Mountain, Fitchhead in the UK. The murky woodland path is mysterious enough, with its bare trees, black river, and heavy fog. And then this mysterious figure turns the mystery up a notch. A semi-transparent shape that's faintly human-like appears near the riverbank. A close-up of the figure shows it swiftly moving in and out of view, vanishing as quickly as it appeared. Some in the comments think this looks completely original. Others are wondering if the cameraman felt a paranormal presence in the moment. If not paranormal in nature, what could this be? Was this Chilean quake natural or extraterrestrial made? Published by Paranormal Planet in April of 2014, seconds before a tremor hit a coastal region of Chile, something was spotted in the sky. The short clip captures the Chilean coast. All is calm. As the cameraman scans the landscape, an unidentified aircraft shoots across the sky. A half-speed clip shows the object in more detail. It's tiny and black but has no other discernible features. It's simply moving too fast. After it passes, the earth immediately begins to shake. A girl hanging onto the fence sways back and forth, and the cameraman appears to fall to the ground. Many in the comments don't think this was an unidentified flying object, and some don't even think it was a quake. Mary Coday suggests it was a milli jet and it made a sonic boom or broke a sound barrier. Others think it was a bird. Is this real? Or is it all completely staged? We're left with more questions than answers with this one. A musical performance tunes up the paranormal apparently. Published by Chloe Fantion in July of 2013. Two men are playing music together in a bedroom, one guitarist and one violinist. They wrap up their song and leave the room, letting their camera roll. Once they've left, a shirt drapes over the shelf, falling down strangely, like there's a body inside. A moment later, items fall from the top shelf, and then both instruments start moving at once. The guitar falls completely off of the bed. Was this duo's music so haunting that it conjured up the paranormal? Or is something even more sinister going on here? Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Havoc Nova, this Redditor wrote, "Walked into my office to start my workday and found this, and I can see exactly what he's talking about. Something is up with that cool Scarface poster. It's like an invisible hand is rocking the poster back and forth. Even when the Redditor tries to steady the poster, it continues to move. While some people like myself are first jumping to this office being haunted, not everyone is convinced. Laundry Ghosty wrote in the comments, you need insulation in your walls. There's a small hole allowing a breezeway from the exterior wall to form. This phenomenon happened in our current house. It turned out it's because the insulation that was blown into the walls 30 years ago needed repairs and replacing. So what do you think? Is this office actually haunted? Or are these walls just in need of some more insulation?"
Who's doing this?
Filmed in what appears to be an abandoned house, this explorer is searching out the lie of the jinn. Published by Paranormal Maya in March of 2022, the cameraman tours the home in silence, when all of a sudden he starts hearing strange noises in the next room.
Çantamdaki olayı düzelteceğim, takır 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 takır.
He crouches down for a moment, waiting out the chaos. Then he approaches a previously empty room. Standing there is a mysterious cupboard set up with a mirror standing facing him. The man jumps back, wondering how this contraption could suddenly appear. He takes a step into the room, flashing his camera spotlight into the mirror. While standing there, he hears an EVP in Turkish that translates to "come from there."
Özür kelimeti layık damatım işerim ahlak. Özür kelimeti layık damatım işerim ahlak.
He kicks the mirror and the cardboard contraption over, stomping on it, and then pries a hanging horseshoe from the frame of the doorway. According to superstition, horseshoes hung over a doorway, with their ends facing down, means that good luck will spill over, stopping evil from entering. That doesn't appear to have worked in this case.
Özür kelimeti layık damatım işerim ahlak.
Something is terrorizing these poor pets. Originally posted to TikTok by El Otrolado21, a pair of pups are surprised by an unknown object being pulled or pushed across the ground. The security footage shows an item roll across the floor, seemingly on its own. Is it being dragged? Is it being rolled? By whom? One dog moves from his seat on the couch, while the other merely lifts his head as the object rolls before following his friend's lead. Is a human playing a trick on these animals? Or is it a phantom? Something's cooking in this kitchen. Published by Sasha 180683 in December of 2012. A poltergeist is startling this haunted resident. As the resident enters, a curtain that's hung in front of a washer and dryer keeps fluttering. Then a cupboard pushes open on its own, one of its doors thudding against the stove. The door swings closed and open, moving uncannily. The curtain again moves strangely around, and then back to the cupboard door. The cameraman slowly backs out of the room and then moves forward again, getting a closer look at the cupboard door and the curtain. No strings and the window isn't open. He shows the camera that it's 2 a.m. After closing the cupboard again, the door swings open and the curtain plays around a bit more. What invisible energy powers this kitchen? A poltergeist would be my guess. A flaming torch in the forest revealed this group was not alone. The uploader writes that these friends were having some drinks in the woods when two of the young women saw a mysterious creature watching them. In the clip, the group is enveloped in darkness. That is until one of them tosses a flaming torch toward a tree. It lights the brush at the base of the tree, and it also lights this creature hiding behind it. The extraterrestrial-looking figure is crouched low at the stump of the tree, but its large cranium and eyes briefly appear. You can see it back away for a moment behind the tree, and then as the camera moves in closer, its hands extend long, spindly fingers. What is watching them? It looks like something out of this world. From voices to semi-transparent figures, baby monitors have been known to throw off all types of creepy vibes. This is amongst the creepiest. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, the OP writes, "I'm 96% sure we caught a ghost on camera, pulling on my almost 2-year-old son's leg while he was sleeping in his crib. The scary video shows the baby lying face down in his crib, both of his legs tucked near the bars. At first, the baby's left leg looks like it's being repeatedly pulled toward and even through the bars, but this could just be the baby himself sticking his feet there. But then all of a sudden, the baby's leg is lifted upwards, beyond the scope of ordinary baby abilities. It folds and is even bent at the knee and pulled backward. The leg is then extended out, then yanked behind its other leg and pulled between the bars. It's pulled upwards and back again, bent at the knee. This is done repeatedly until the leg is yanked so far backward that it seems to wake the baby up. He throws his head back and then pulls both legs beneath him. All the while, a strange white orb roams across the screen, floating above him. Some in the comments even say it seems to move in sync with the pulling of the leg. Most Redditors are terrified in the comments. Others think the ghost may have been trying to flip the baby over, so he wasn't sleeping on his stomach. But myself and nearly everyone agrees with Redditor Malin, who writes, "Straight up the most convincing ghost video I've ever seen. This ghost is trying to bum a ride." Posted by Ghost Videos in July of 2020. A man was driving in Johor, Malaysia when he crossed paths with a hitchhiking spirit. The dashcam footage shows a dark, empty room at night. According to the timestamp, it's around 2 in the morning in July of 2019. As the car barrels down the road, a semi-transparent figure appears in the dark lane on the right. You can barely make out the apparition as it holds out its thumb to catch a ride. What do you think? A live person half hidden in the darkness? Hitchhiking in the darkness of night? If so, what is the spirit's destination? We may never know. At a once bustling market turned ghost town in China, this lone figure was captured on camera. Published by Paranormal Planet in February of 2020, the video shows a mysterious fog shadow moving into view. As Chinese lanterns hang all around, swaying with the wind, the figure moves across the walkway before it disappears from sight. The uploader writes, "This footage was spotted by the person responsible for monitoring the street cameras. Is this a ghost? Or has the Grim Reaper come for us all?" Pripat Amusement Park is an abandoned park in the Chernobyl region. It was abandoned before its planned grand opening after the meltdown that contaminated the area in 1986. Posted to TikTok by Edwin Calderon 608, this TikToker is wondering what this person is doing in the highly contaminated park. The deserted Ferris wheel looks particularly gloomy, standing still with no one on it. That is until the viewer zooms in on Google Earth to see a male figure standing in the service box beside the ride. The man isn't armored against the radiation that still pollutes the area. He is completely unprotected against it, leaving me to wonder if he's perhaps superhuman. Anyone want to risk a visit to ask him? No, that'd be a terrible idea. This video was submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Gobs of Goblins. The Redditor wrote, kept hearing a weird inconsistent tapping noise coming from the ceiling. The attic is directly above my room. Caught one of the times it happened on video. Check the attic and nothing's there. Still kinda freaks me out. I can certainly hear what the Redditor is talking about. Check it out. I know the Redditor checked the attic, but I'm thinking something has to be hiding up there. Not everyone is convinced though. Gohan0912 wrote in the comments that they think it's squirrels or birds. So what do you think? Is there a stranger secretly living in this house? Or is the answer really as simple as Gohan thinks it is? This security guard wasn't expecting to guard the shopping mall against evil spirits. Published by the Hidden Underbelly 2.0 in April of 2019, this security footage was captured at Galerías La Paz in Mexico. The Galerías has a dark history of animal and human sacrifices. It's reputed to be haunted by everything from spectral children to the lady in white. These security guards witnessed the latter. In the video, you can see the lady walking down the mall's corridor. A security guard passes right by her but doesn't seem to notice her at all. The lady appears solid but then vanishes into thin air. The uploader writes, he didn't notice anything unusual, but it was only when he finished his rounds and was back in the surveillance room that his partner asked if he had seen the woman in white. The security guard said that he passed no one. But when they watched the CCTV footage back, they couldn't deny it. Is it La Llorona? If so, this guard is lucky he didn't drown. Just by looking at the exterior of this house, you can tell it's clearly haunted. Published by Han Kardesler, these three paranormal investigators are doing a ritual just to make sure. Circling a small table with candles lit on top, the men are seen grasping the table and chanting a ritual, while noises are heard around them. Then outside they see this. A pale face in the window moves away. Back inside, the men are chanting around the table again, when a wheeled chair rolls into view. One of the men seemed to be shocked by something unexplained and without a word walks away. The others follow him, uncertain of where he went. They find him outside standing at a distance in the darkness. He is suddenly snatched by someone and pulled from view. They find him in a strange stick hut and appear to talk him into normalcy. But what of the snatcher? Was this the work of the mad face in the window? I think so. The call is coming from inside the house. Posted to TikTok by Old Fogey John. You can hear the fear in this man's breathing as he moves around his home. And you'll soon see why. As the man turns around the corner, a mysterious psychotic head sticks out sideways from a hallway, leading down some stairs. The psycho face is looking right at the resident. The angle of his head is so odd it's uncanny. As the mysterious stranger watches, the resident lets out a gasp of pure unadulterated fear. While some in the comments are telling the TikToker to run for the hills, Others are suggesting why this man might have shown up. Mayhem writes, when your neighbor finds out you changed your Wi-Fi password, if that's the case, you better give him the new password. What is the #1 destination to dispose of an object that's ended a life? In a river, of course. Posted to TikTok by Julian Stevens. This scary video leaves us wondering if that's exactly what happened here. The TikToker spotted a blade at the bottom of the waterway. Zooming in, you can see it's clearly a large kitchen blade. Zooming out again, you can see it's clearly in the middle of a creepy wooded area. Many in the comments suggest calling the cops. That seems like a fair assessment to me. This scary video clip captured not just one misty spirit miraculously floating atop the water, but a second emerging from below. Posted to TikTok by Horror Talk, the apparition gracefully glides on the water's surface, only for his brother's head to appear, materializing from the same point in the water. It grows upwards, but we're left to wonder where the pair of spirits wandered off to, and from where they came. Some in the comments think this is a weather balloon. Others say it's La Llorona, the weeping woman who roams the waterfront. What do you think it could be? This video is the launching point of one wild ride. Posted to the Ring subreddit, Midship92 explains that his neighbor messaged asking him to check on his wife who was home alone because someone was trying to get inside. After going to check and finding no one, this friendly neighbor went back home, only to find this Ring video footage had been sent to him. The clip shows what the man just missed, a shirtless creep crawling up the front steps of the home, hiding his face away before trying the door in an attempt to break in. The man then lets himself down the steps and walks off. The Redditor adds in the comments, after doing this to several houses and evading police, he was finally caught. Finding the man was quite an ordeal. The Redditor elaborates further, explaining that during the police search, the suspect kept disappearing only to be seen again minutes later, after trying to catch the guy for nearly an hour, only for him to vanish into thin air. The police abandoned the search. Left to his own devices, the man again tried to get in through another neighbor's back door, but the Redditor saw him from his deck. He chased the man into another neighbor's crawl space and stood guard there until the police returned. Thankfully, the wild goose chase led to the wild goose being caught. What is lurking in the mountains of Montana? Published by Smokey Robinson in September of 2021. He and his army buddy were outside Browning, Montana when they encountered this piece of work. What begins as a man starts to appear demonic. At the start of the clip, the figure is roaring unintelligibly.
Buddy! How you doing? Oh! Just some cruisers, man!
He appears to be shirtless and wearing jeans. The figure then starts crawling half deranged on the ground toward them.
That's crazy.
It crawls up a hill. The closer it gets, the more inhuman it looks. Just as the demon man reaches the road, the two men drive off in their pickup. Commenters are saying this is 100% demonic, and this creature gives them goosebumps. Some say the figure's face distorted and its appendages stretched as it started to crawl. Drex Ferguson writes, "This is the video I send people when they ask me to go camping, hiking, basically anything that involves woods." Some are calling it a zombie. Some are saying it's a human being taken over by something. What do you think it is?
It's crawling at me like it's... What's up, dude?
A young woman was walking home late at night when she was met with a worst case scenario. Someone was following her. Posted to TikTok by Carolina Judah. The TikToker captures a montage of her journey from the foggy streets to the bus to a dark walk on her road home. A man is seen standing behind the bus stop. He is nothing but a shadow. She says she ignored him and just continued walking. Capturing a shot between her though, she finds that he's trailing her about 20 feet away. As the journey continues, he seems to be speeding up, and in fact, he gets closer. He appears to be wearing a hood. Carolina says he began shouting something at her, and she thought he'd been drinking. He falls behind a ways, and as soon as she rounds a bend, she sprints home. Although she couldn't see him anywhere when she arrived, 20 minutes later she heard the doorbell at the gate. She called her mom, but there was no answer, and outside her window she spotted the man standing just outside the gate. The man later jumped the gate, crossed the garden, and tried yanking on the door handle. Carolina locked herself inside the bathroom waiting for her parents to arrive. He eventually stopped, but she stayed put, too afraid to move. In the video's comments, TikTokers suggest not to walk home when you're being followed, but rather lead the stalker to someplace with people and/or bright lights. This route looked like it had neither, so what should she do in this case? Any suggestions? Skiers beware. Sometimes the snowbank is deeper than it appears. Posted to Instagram by Chris J. Fish. This GoPro video shows viewers what it's like to avalanche yourself. The skier is seen traveling over a snowy hill between two trees followed by some rocky crags. After overtaking the rocks, he immediately drops feet down into the snow. He is seen frantically trying to dig himself out. After what seems like an eternity, he spots a glimmer of sky above, as someone on the surface is also digging frantically to pull him to safety. Chris says this is the first time he's been completely buried. He writes in the comments, "I started to panic a bit as soon as I inhaled a whole bunch of snow. My entire throat and mouth were full and definitely had a bit in my lungs." He goes on to explain that his friend was staged nearby to rescue him if this happened, which anyone who's skiing across unknown territory should do. Did this scary event stop him from future skiing? Nope. He writes that as soon as his breathing returned, he was off again. Chris asked if we would include this PSA. He writes, "The rule to dropping from big cliffs into bottomless powder. Have someone close by to dig you out if you get buried." I'm thinking I'll stick to the bunny hill. These campers aren't going to get any more sleep tonight. Posted to TikTok by Eagle Trindade. One camper opens their tent flap to reveal 4 enormous crocodiles waiting just outside their door. And that's not even the scariest part. At least a dozen pairs of eyes are gleaming in the darkness. The man closes the tent flap as if that weak nylon and polyester is going to save him from this army of chompers. While some in the comments are saying this is more terrifying than a horror movie, others are just wondering how these guys made it out of their tent. Are these crocodiles just trying to get warm? Or are they out for a midnight snack?
Ai meu Deus do céu! Vocês estão entendendo o quanto de jacaré tem aqui? Ai meu Deus, eu estou na barraca literalmente para acampar. Vamos dormir aqui, guys?
On 3830 McMahon Road sits a lone white house which at first glance looks rather unassuming, but is actually a source of otherworldly evil. A place so foul that not even 2 separate exorcisms could fully cleanse its walls. Over 800 Native Americans are said to have lost their lives in the surrounding hills against federal forces, many of whom are thought to be buried under the Hinsdale House, fueling its foundations with anger. And that's just the beginning. Sometime in the 1800s, 2 outlaw brothers used this New York property as their sick trophy room. They would go after stagecoaches and left behind no witnesses. The bodies were mostly kept in the attic or left in the basement without a care. Outside, more lives were taken over the years at a pond and also at an old tree at just the right height for a rope, which was later struck by lightning. Nowadays, the heavily haunted Hinsdale House has become a location for ghost hunters like John and Amanda of Elevated Vlogs to explore whatever secrets lie within. John and Amanda are amateur ghost hunters without much paranormal experience, so their reactions are about as raw as it gets. Their night begins with a tour from the house's current owner, a man named Daniel Clays, who spared this house from getting demolished in 2015. He seems to have formed a truce with the spirits in return for saving them. The way he talks about his experiences, the more activity their camera catches around him.
There's definitely something that's sinister, maybe darker, that comes out once in a while. But your best thing is to just ignore it and move on and go do something else. We were just standing in the kitchen and we had a camera on ourselves and they were talking about the exorcism this, exorcism that. And
Daniel leaves them to explore the house on their own.
And just kind of do a little explore before we sit down anywhere. And
did you hear that?
They also hear this noise, the sound someone makes with a hand over their mouth.
But he said he has experienced somewhat of something dark here. Experience.
They enter the room of Mary Dandy, the youngest daughter of a family who lived here during the 1970s, and find bugs on their backs, legs up, an odd characteristic that the room has become known for. An entity has attached itself here, something foul enough to attract flies and send them lifelessly to the floor without its presence. Or maybe these flies were placed here by Daniel to fool John and Amanda. Either way, the activity only seems to increase ever since standing in Mary's room. I think something runs ahead of them down the stairs into the basement. Maybe the final steps of someone trying to get away during a terrible event.
Most people that check this place out will come with a team.
Oh yeah, I'll go down first so you can show them this really cool. Did you hear that?
What was that?
And when they try to communicate with it, a scared little girl's voice comes across the airwaves.
Are you okay with us staying here tonight?
They decide to head back into Mary's room. Again, their spirit box picks up the same crying girl as before.
Are you okay with us being in this room? Can we sit here?
And this is the third time they pick up her voice. Definitely the same girl the whole time.
Are we safe?
She's following them from room to room, and maybe behind her is the sinister force that Daniel warned them to stay away from. They decided to check out the attic before they get too scared. Remember what I said about the attic earlier? Sure enough, John feels a strong hand wrap his arm to pull him forward, followed by a supernatural confirmation from a gruff male voice.
Dude, I'm not even playing, man.
Did someone touch John's arm?
Like, no lie, it felt like there was just something
Dude, that sounded like, yeah.
They flee downstairs to regroup and find they can no longer leave. Something's outside.
John.
Oh my
I
god.
literally heard something outside. I'm not even messing around.
Dude.
Did you hear that, dude?
No, I know. It sounded like metal tinging.
I don't hear it, but I do see it. Look again, it's a ghost caught on live stream. And even though I didn't hear it earlier, I do hear chains rattling during this part when they get closer to the door.
What's that noise?
There's nothing left to do but wait it out in the Hinsdale house. After a night of fitful sleep, they decide to explore the hillside before getting out of there fast. They're still afraid from yesterday's events, but it's their job as paranormal investigators to keep going no matter what. So with their spirit box out, they wander into the woods. Within minutes, they record a voice. I hear 3 words: I need help. Then they hear a familiar voice, the same one responsible for grabbing John's arm in the attic.
We're coming into the darker part of the woods here. Would somebody like to speak with us? Oh. Yep, that was definitely a male voice.
And this part is either Amanda's voice edited in, or else somebody is humming a creepy tune right next to John. The forest is dark and cold. I agree with John that this is a different language.
We're in the middle of the woods. There's no electrical.
They come to a part of the woods that's particularly eerie for no reason at all. It's just a feeling they both have. That's when they realize the reason for their fears could not be directly underfoot.
Did you die here?
The thought of communicating with the other side has always made me uneasy, but speaking with someone while standing on their unmarked grave, as elevated vlogs seem to have done, takes that uneasiness to a whole other level. Tim Morozov, or Tim Frost in English, is a Russian YouTuber who goes into places that spirits want him to stay out of. This time he has his eyes on an entire village that's been evacuated due to the presence of something mysterious, something neither you nor I can see. He picks the creepiest, most haunted looking cabin of them all, and unlike most ghost hunters, sets up high quality lighting to catch every last detail. It isn't long before Tim Frost thinks he sees a mist floating before his very eyes, but to be honest, I don't see anything.
Par.
That mirror, on the other hand, is hard to miss. Tim takes it off the wall and is busy inspecting it with what sounds like beads falling off a necklace hit the floor from behind. If this is fake, then someone must have climbed the cabin and poured something onto the roof to create this sound, but that still doesn't explain what happens next. A ghost brushes by and hits the microphone of his camera at 12 minutes and 3 seconds. The mic moves by itself and everything, or maybe Tim's just slightly shaking it to create the illusion of movement. Then his light short circuits, unless, that is, he hits the strobe effect and then turns it off himself. Tim Frost knows that he has to explore the entire cabin, and that includes the basement. He takes the freaky mirror down there with him and starts snapping pictures with an old Polaroid camera for evidence. That's when a brick falls near him. There's a good chance he placed it there himself, because this ledge is an odd place for a brick to just so happen to be perched upon. But right as I say, I notice an orb fly over the brick right as it falls. So now I'm back to thinking it could be real and paranormal. Tim Frost unfortunately gets chased out by locals before he can gather much more evidence. He returns on a different day and selects another cabin. This one happens to still have power, which is odd, but I guess the electrical company could have made a mistake and not switched it off yet. Anyway, at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, he records a strange flickering white light against the wall. It stays with him for more than a minute, but then, at 6 minutes and 10 seconds, it goes away, almost like it goes into the next room, and then this happens.
Блин, что-то голова раскалывается, на самом деле. На спичке вроде все в порядке.
Suddenly, the lights go out and Tim finds himself alone in the dark, or so he thinks.
Как упали тарелки.
He uses an EMF meter to track something moving around with him, and when he hones in on its exact position, his lights start messing up. Also, an eerie mist is visible around his flashlight, but maybe it's dust. He follows the EMF meter up to an attic. His flashlight is flickering badly now, even though it was a solid beam only minutes before. What he hears next is not fake in my opinion. Too light to be a person, and yet all too near. In fact, it sounded like it was this door. But when he looks inside for himself, nothing is there. And get this, the flashlight of his camera is not the last of his lighting problems that night. When he set up his professional studio lights that he's never had a problem with before, they can't seem to stay on either. I would say that this was from faulty wiring with the cabin, but I think this light is running on its own battery and isn't plugged in at all. Some people think photographs capture the soul. Maybe this soul didn't want to be captured. Published by Dark Life in June of 2021. This poltergeist isn't playing around. While snapping photos in this haunted room, Russian paranormal investigator Dennis hears a rustling that he says sounds like it's coming from the basement. As he continues to take pictures, a massive wardrobe to his right is pushed over onto the ground. He leaves the room, and when he goes to re-enter it, he hears some strange sparking noises while standing in the doorway. The sounds stop. He looks around, asks who is there, but no one answers. Still, he appears to sense something watching him. Is Dennis alone here, or are the spirits all around him? A phantom drifts past, never to be seen or heard from again. Published by Tammy Jackson in December of 2019. This Ring camera footage captured something incredibly eerie in this person's yard. The footage shows a pale, full-bodied figure drifting across the yard. No features are discernible. It then appears to vanish. That's when the motion-activated lights on the garage are triggered. They shine brightly, casting light all across the yard, but there's nothing there. A house light also appears to be triggered, but still nothing else appears in the yard. Do ghosts trigger motion sensors? If not a ghost, who is this? I guess we'll never know for sure. Some ghosts just want a little attention. This one apparently isn't getting enough. Published by Jeff Miller in April of 2018. Watch closely as this ghost takes his revenge in this family's kitchen. Something flies off the wall shortly into the video that the uploader says is a picture. Having heard the disturbance, the home's resident enters the frame, heading into the kitchen. Did he come face to face with his ghost roommate? Unlikely, but maybe he should take the hint. The roommate wants the house to himself. It's midnight. Everyone's asleep except for this ghost. Published by The Haunted One in August of 2020. This short clip shows a thirsty ghost having a nightcap. Watch closely as the bottle on the counter moves ever so slightly on its own. It slides from the middle of the island to the very edge. Is this ghost about to smash some glass, or is he just playing mind games? Either way, I definitely think this place is haunted. Put on your bowling shoes. Published by Joe MC in June of 2021. A mysterious bright light is roaming the lanes of this bowling alley. The light is seen hovering distantly into a lane to the far left for a minute before shooting to the right. The twinkling light pauses for a moment in one lane before shooting left again. It hovers there and flies about a minute more before the clip ends. What is this strange light? Is it the soul of a bowling enthusiast? If it is, I hope he gets a strike. Posted to the r/Chills Narrator subreddit. Nick Chocolate 19 posted 2 videos from the same night on a doorbell cam. The Redditor writes, on January 10th, 2022 at approximately 9 p.m. that night, my family noticed something weird on the doorbell camera. The orb-like item kept coming into view and setting off the security alerts all night long. Any idea what this could have been? An orb can be seen floating on the right-hand side, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The Redditor posted a second video writing, I posted a video yesterday about an orb on my doorbell cam. I'm posting another video because I want to show it couldn't be something like a helicopter. This is from 6:08 a.m. It did this all night from 9 p.m. The fact that the orb was visible all night makes it less likely that it's just a camera glitch in my opinion. What do you think this is? This is one of the world's most haunted hotels. It was a naval hospital during the 40s and once housed a morgue. Some of its most infamous guests never left. Published by Kelsey Davies in January of 2022, this paranormal investigator and her mom visited the haunted hotel. This is what they found. Kelsey first hears a child's voice as she's wandering the empty hall.
Hi, Kimmy. I just heard a little kid.
They continue to explore and hear more unexplained noises. After setting up a paranormal device, it starts to go off. They use copper dowsing rods to ask the spirits questions. They discover that one is named Lorraine. A short while later, Kelsey asks the young girl she's speaking with to trigger the device, and she does.
Device go off? Oh my god.
They then enter a creepy hallway, and using a Connect app on the phone, they see a figure standing there. Later, she says she saw a man standing by the door out of the corner of her eye, one that she's seen before in the hotel.
You can communicate with anyone. No negative entities, please. Oh my god, I just saw a man. There's a man down here. I think it's the same one.
And then the nearby paranormal device goes off. Is this ghost getting nearer? Here's hoping this spirit isn't stalking her. The Terror El Extremo crew wanders the abandoned grounds of this haunted witch's house. In the middle of a forest, they hear a shrill shriek. While it could be human, it could also be harmless. It sounds like a bird call, but shortly after, a figure that they capture in a window seems to suggest otherwise. Are the legends true? Is this the witch that's said to haunt this place? I'm starting to think that it wasn't a bird. Built in 1832, the Patrick Taylor Cottage is the most haunted and oldest house in Western Australia. Poltergeist activity has been reported every September, and some claim to have seen an apparition in military uniform with an arm sling. Many think the apparition is Major Frederick in Gold B, a former tenant who passed away in the home in September of 1942. But why does he still haunt the place? Published by Amy's Crypt in January of 2022, Amy went to find out after the Albany Historical Society allowed her in after hours to investigate. The first activity is subtle, a light tap and a slight boom to see if these investigators are awake.
I heard that also.
Yeah, just had a little tap in here. To anyone around this device?
After warming up their paranormal devices, a clock chiming sound is heard through the device.
That sounded like a clock.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
There's a grandfather clock in the room. When they ask about the clock, they hear a light tap again.
I want to know about this clock.
Ooh, I heard that. That definitely came from in that room, huh?
They also hear footsteps and a knock.
I hear footsteps. I did hear a knock in there.
Although the sounds are always distant, like the spirit is avoiding them. Where is this reticent spirit? Is the Major trying to make his presence known while keeping these intruders at arm's length? There needs to be an explanation for these strange lights. Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit. Paleontologist Key 440 captured the security footage in his backyard. He writes that the property has been super active since they moved there in 2016, and this footage is from May of 2021, which must mean these types of occurrences are nothing new. The footage shows lights hovering and flashing, first to the left of the frame, and then on both sides simultaneously. Some in the comments think they're fireworks, but one user remarked that there is no smoke. What do you think it is? Extraterrestrial or paranormal? I don't think either option is very ideal. Published by Tim Morozov in December of 2021, the paranormal investigator enters the most haunted of houses and encounters one of the most dangerous level 5 poltergeists he's ever faced off with. In the video, Tim draws a circle in chalk on the floor in the living room. Cameras are set up all around. He asks the spirits in the home to move things. After a time, something triggers one of his paranormal devices. The thermal imaging camera shows a great white orb floating in the vicinity. The orb passes by him where it hovers over the Ouija board. The planchette starts to spaz out all over the board. It doesn't seem to be spelling anything, it's just going berserk. The light then floats out of frame. After this, several items in the room float into the air. The light reappears and then seems to brush past Tim, knocking him to the floor. It comes back and knocks him again. Is this the most aggressive poltergeist you've ever seen? Tim left with his life this time, but next time he might not be so lucky. Some souls darken the doorways of haunted homes, others grow as bright as they lived. Published by Sajid Hussein in August of 2021. This Nest cam caught an unusual anomaly on this dark street at night. The video shows a vibrant figure glowing in the yard opposite the camera. The bright figure appears to be moving. It radiates well still for a moment before moving in a flash to a position about a foot away. The light then dims before glowing brightly again. It then enters into the street, glowing and spreading like fire. Throughout this, at times it looks like one entity and at other times two. At the end of the clip, the light subsides and disappears altogether. Where did the spirit go? Maybe this is the moment it crossed over. The shadows are coming for you. Published by ILM and Bono Paranormal in July of 2021. This creepy clip shows you are never as alone as you think. A man is walking through an abandoned building and his camera scans the room. Look carefully in the window pane. A shadow figure passes by, outlined against the glass. It's unclear if the figure is outside walking past or inside being reflected, but all I do know is the cameraman has company. If I were him, I'd be getting out of there ASAP. This ghostly figure is the Thief of Souls, published by Lannon TV in November of 2021. This man encountered an obscure figure lurking on an empty road at night. After wandering through a quiet village in the late hours, the man spies the silent figure in the darkness. He walks in another direction but soon sees the figure again. As he yells at the shadowy figure, it moves away into the darkness. Later, it seems he spies the figure up in the trees, either having climbed it or perhaps even hovering in the air. What does this thing want? I'm guessing his soul. Levitation, animal skulls, fire. This one has everything. These paranormal investigators have met their match. While looking around a ritualistic site, they come across this pentagram drawn on the wall. Nearby, rocks and candles are arranged. Alongside what looks like a black chopped off ponytail, there's a burnt animal skull posted up at the center of the pentagram. Later, the light from their camera shuts off. When it turns back on, a body has risen in the air and hangs there limply. It's one of their crew members, and a moment later, he is found collapsed on the floor and unconscious. They check his pulse and manage to shake him awake. He stumbles up, clearly rattled. Not long after, a fire starts on the ground in the room. They don't know how it started. Is there some evil entity haunting these hallowed grounds, brought to life by the rituals done here? Only Satan can answer that. When you speak with a ghost, they just might answer. Published by Jorge Tello in August of 2019, a security guard was working in what looks like a hotel in London when he heard this sound. The guard is seen walking into the stairwell, asking what's there. He then re-enters the hallway, and as he's walking down it, he hears the wailing again.
Who's there?
After asking again, who's there, this creepy rasping voice answers. At first, the voice is incomprehensible, but then it clearly says, "I see you."
Who's there? Where be?
What is watching the security guard? I don't think it could be anything good. A bolt lock can't keep the paranormal out. Published by Dark Ghost Paranormal in April of 2021, this is a true house of horrors. As Russian paranormal investigator Dennis looks around the unsettling home, something appears to let itself in. Dennis backs off and shuts the door behind him, but that doesn't stop the unwelcome guest. After verifying that there's no one there, Dennis returns to his investigation. Close by, he hears a loud knock. Later, the wardrobe drawers open on their own. And what looks like newspaper is shoved up from one of them. Then the wardrobe doors open one at a time. The second one repeatedly swings open and shut. Dennis walks toward it and there's nothing inside, yet it continues to open and close. This occurs for several minutes. Later, he hears a noise. A bunch of racket draws him to this cupboard. It sounds like all the dishes inside are jumping around. Opening the cupboard doors, he finds nothing out of place. He then hears another noise and finds a bag moving as it hangs on the wall, like there's an animal trapped inside of it. He takes the bag from its hook and opens it, but again, there's nothing inside. When he puts it back down on the bed, it continues to move. What is inhabiting this haunted home? Whatever it is, it let itself in. Are there spirits at play here, or just pranksters? Published in November of 2018, this security camera footage shows some suspicious activity in this man's driveway. A man is seen walking to his driveway's gate at around 1 in the morning. As he opens the gate and steps out, a chair that is sitting about 10 feet away flies off the handle, making the man jump out of there. Another dude is seen racing out of the driveway as well. Another short clip shows the man organizing and stacking items in a storage room. As he does, the door suddenly closes. Again, he jumps up, clearly scared. Are these strange events paranormal? Or is some jokester playing pranks on this innocent person? I'm siding with the paranormal option for this one. It might be time to call an exorcist. Is this Air Force Base haunted? NBC4 News tried to find out. This night vision video was captured inside an old medical building at the California base. The base has long been rumored to be home to paranormal activity. From knocks to figures appearing in one's peripherals, many who work there have substantiated these claims. The video appears to confirm that something unusual is happening at March Air Force Base. The footage shows what appears to be a large empty room, but when slowed down, two figures are lurking in the darkness. The shapes in the shadows certainly appear human. Some in the comments claim to have been stationed there and or visited the base and attest to the creepiness of the place. They even share some of their own paranormal experiences.
141, we have seatbelts that move. We've picked up voices in it by using recorders.
Perhaps these ghosts are enacting them. Are we being possessed by shadowy forces without even knowing it? Posted on Blah Blah's channel in January of 2022, this scary video is trending in the Arabic-speaking YouTube community. The footage shows a woman walking a dirt path along a hillside overlooking a city. She is carrying a bag and she's alone. As the cameraman follows a short way behind, a mysterious and barely visible dark figure comes toward the woman on the path. The shadow figure runs right at the woman, but she doesn't notice it and continues on her way. Did the spirit possess her? Well, this captured our imaginations. As it turns out, after doing some research, I found the video is VFX produced by YouTuber Dark3. Still, the image will prompt you to look over your shoulder the next time you think you're alone. You never know what's behind you until it's too late. Is this the work of the legendary magician Hashina? Published in September of 2021, this scary video is tantalizing. Well, I don't have the full context. The short clip shows some men sitting around a room. Some of the men are chanting. What are they trying to do? Exorcise someone of a possession? I'm not sure. But as the group sits there, a creepy shadow figure emerges from behind a door's fogged glass window. It rises and there doesn't seem to be enough room behind the door for something to remain otherwise hidden. What's going on here? Is it some sort of ritual? Don't close your eyes, because when you wake up tonight, this thing will be waiting for you.